Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we made a difference, but the fight is not done. Yes, the Belgium has put the ban hammer on gambling, loot boxes, predatory microtransaction practices. They have analyzed it using Star Wars Battlefront 2 and even going all the way back down to Overwatch. A game, if you guys remember, I did my review for Overwatch and I complained about how the microtransactions with the loot boxes worked and people just was not happy with me. Like, Beaky, the game is fun, but so what? It's only cosmetic in the loot boxes. It's fine. But I said it felt wrong for this game for how it was implemented. And finally, we have had a government actually investigate this thing and says, this feels a little iffy. And as somebody who usually got to the point where it's like, all right, man, if just do the cosmetics. Don't make it pay to win. I'll let it be. I'm just not going to be buying your loot boxes anyways. Because I don't. I don't. I'm trying to think right now on the spot for you. On this spot, I am trying to think, when have I spent money on a loot box? I have never spent money on what is considered a video game loot boxes, whether it's EA's shipments in Need for Speed, whether it's Overwatch's loot boxes for cosmetic and sprays, whether it's Lawbreakers loot box system, whether it's whenever other game. I can't think of a loot box I've ever spent a dime on. But there are situations where randomly opening something and then getting random items are not really loot boxes. Like, I'll give it to card games. I think card games is something just inherent the way the card games work, where I don't feel like, in the sense where the card games, you're not like, oh, you want to open up a pack of cards and then you're going to end up getting a different color icon avatar. See, like, if card games went that way, then I would think those are considered those loot boxes. But when I think of loot boxes, is when you open up something that give you advantage for the game you're playing, like in Star Wars Battlefront. You get a spray, you get a voice actor, you might get just a bunch of random stuff put together when the thing you really want is never that attainable because it's like at a 5% chance of you getting it, man. But now, hopefully, this is where I want us to keep pushing. I just really want this to go outside of just Europe, the UK, maybe even if it goes there next in the United States. I wanted to get to the point where we could go back to the days of, hey, you go to the PSN store, Xbox Live, you go to Blizzard's, Battle.net, and then you see you want this new costume for Mercy, you just buy the costume. Just buy the costume you want. Why do I have to open a bunch of loot boxes to get that awesome Mercy freaking Halloween costume? What happens to the day when developers are like, hey, there's a cool new costumes. Our developer put a hard time, our artist put a hard time going ahead and fine detailing her. Then our developer took that detail and made it into the 3D model to implement in the game. It looks so cool. Her new animation around that's awesome. And the developers want to see their players play with that new model. But no, we have to go ahead and keep on pulling the level of this loot box. Like, come on, let me get Mercy. Oh, no, I got something for freaking some other character I don't play. Oh. But all you want is this one Mercy thing. Just give the people the option to buy the exact thing they want. And people will buy it. I would have it's like this whole situation like with, right now, with Injustice. Like, there's certain characters in Injustice I would just be like, okay. There's even been fighting games in the past where I was kind of upset at first, like, man, you have to buy characters. But I was like, you know what? If I only play with this one character, free-to-play fighting games, I'm like, I might just buy the one character I want. And I'm okay with that. Just give me the option to buy. But can you imagine the next iteration of, let's say, Soul Calibur? You have to spin the wheel to get the... like I'm trying to say, we need to nip this in the butt now. And I'm not saying that companies can't find ways to make money. I'm just telling you that if people had the option to buy the Mercy skin that they want, they would probably just buy that skin and be happy to keep on playing your game and getting more people to play the game. But people like me see practices like that and we get disgusted and move away. And I'm just talking about Overwatch. We could go all day on EA. We could go, but I talk about EA enough, man. EA made Star Wars Battlefront like one of my most despised games of the year. From something I was hyped to play that looked promising to just utter garbage. when it comes to the progression system. And on top of that, I've actually looked more deeply into the story mode with the whole entire thing where they do this whole entire stuff where you go from one character to the next. You go from Luke, you jump around back to the main character, the girl in the game. I'm like, why not just stick with this main character? Why are we playing as Luke on this level killing bugs? There's so much stuff wrong with Battlefront 2 outside of even just the loot boxes. And then Need for Speed finally getting some highlight. I'm glad that somebody like Jim Sterling made a video recently about Need for Speed and what's happening with that game. Because that's something I've said since my very first video, Need for Speed, that the whole entire microtransactions in that game is bad. Like, that game... Alright, if you don't play the new Need for Speed, which I don't blame you, it's like a 5 out of 10. That game is pay to win. There is online in that game, and you can pay to buy these shipments to just get better stuff and win online. Need for Speed 2017 is pay to win. If you haven't been told this before, let me be the first one to say crystal clear. Just like Star Wars Battlefront 2, EA has Need for Speed 2017 is pay to win. It's under the radar because, like, the Need for Speed community ain't getting outraged like, you know, it's a Star Wars community. It's just not as big. But it was, and for me as a big, long-time Need for Speed fan, it made me stop playing the game, along with the lackluster story and all the damn glitches in that game. That game has so many problems. Need for Speed has so many problems, man. And the shame of it, too, the Need for Speed game actually drives okay. It just has problems with the progression system, with these cards, the shipments, all of that. It's just so bad. So, you could buy a freaking horn. A horn in a loot box. A car horn. Something like developers would just put in as an extra little bonus in the games. Like, no, you have to open a loot box and you could get a car horn, you get a car, you could get an epic spoiler. Now, thank you, Belgium, for saying this stuff is predatory. It's clicking the same mechanics in gamers' head for gambling. It's getting them that little kick like, oh yeah, I got that amazing, awesome star card. Whoopee. So, we'll see how far it goes, where it goes next. EA is going to probably fight the hell out of this. The ESRB doesn't seem like right now they want to really back down from it not being gambling, because they've already said, like, you know, it's not gambling, so I don't think ESRB wants that to happen. But this is exactly what I want to happen right now. I want these governments to look at it and just realize that, this seems kind of fishy right now. We're going to have to start implementing new policies. And I think once a government steps in, that's when, like, somebody like the ESRB is going to be like, oh, no, we'll handle it. Because the ESRB doesn't want the government regulating video games. And us as gamers usually really doesn't want that as well. And I think once ESRB realizes, like, wait, we might lose a lot of the power we have when it comes to regulating video games, they will actually want to go ahead and be like, okay, we might need to put our foot down on EA. We might need to put our foot down on Activision in some cases. You know what I'm trying to say? Ugh. This is such good news, but we still got to keep the fight on. We still got to call out games that have these systems in there where it may not be, like, as obvious as everything else. Because, like I said, I think the Need for Speed really went under the radar for a lot of gamers. A lot of gamers just did not even care about this Need for Speed, so they never even really think about it. I mean, we've known about this stuff for a long time now, like the FIFA games out there. I mean, we're talking about Star Wars and we're talking about situations with, like, you know, $60 retail games, but who's to say, like, free-to-play games that really prey on little kids, you know, even those are considered, like, kids maybe getting the same type of feeling of gambling, which they really shouldn't be. So it's just about how does these governments regulate and, like, list it. Like, I'm not trying to say, like, oh, loot boxes should be completely taken out of every single game ever. Like, it's not even like I'm saying like that. I just want there to be clear, fine print on the box. Contains gambling. Let the parents think about that. Let us as adults see that, and then to make us think like, virtual gambling, with my virtual paid gambling, because I have to pay real money for the currency to do it. Oh, I would love that to be in the back of every box. Just make people think twice about it. Because I really do feel like EA, Activision, the big publishers are going to be able to fight back. I think they have too much power. Even government, I think they have too much power across this world at this point that they're going to fight so hard. They're going to lobby so hard so that something like this does not stick. I know Belgium says the boxes are gambling and wants to ban them, but I don't really feel like the ban's going to happen. It's going to be something a little less. And I hope it just gets to the point where on the back of the box or even on the front, It has a rating, and it makes it either make an AO game, which makes the people not really put that in there, or it makes it so that it says gambling in big letters with real currency. I wanted to say with real currency so people know what it is. And situations like will make people think twice about picking up your game, because us as gamers who are educated gamers on the game industry will be more likely to be like, nah, I ain't supporting that game. It has real world gambling. It says it on the box. Bye. The mother and father who may pick up a game every now and then for the kids who understand what the ESRB rating is, and they see that and like, nah, I want my kids to be, influenced with that, especially if I'm going to be putting my credit card on the PSN, iPad, or whatever where they can automatically charge it. And that happens more than most people think. Like, that is a normal thing nowadays. Like, parents just give kids connected devices that automatically have cards stored, debit, just in the system, and like, kids just buy this for $1, and $1 now becomes $300 because it's just targeted and marketed towards these kids. So soon, I hope that all the games that get releases are gonna start having these on their boxes. Now, the thing that gets interesting, what happens if it's a digital only release? So that's how I want to see how this all goes through. Now, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to come to America, but unless we keep on mentioning every single game that we notice that we're playing with these problems, I don't think the problem is going to go away. So we have to keep mentioning it every game that comes out the rest of this year into 2017 and 18 and so on and so forth. We just got to be like, okay, this system feels like trash because it has these loot boxes and these predatory systems. Once we call them out, the government just keep it in the news cycle. Just keep it on Reddit. Keep it being something we need to be discussing for the next year plus, and these developers will back down. They will. They will back down because they don't want the negative stigma associated with. Look at CD Projekt Red, one of the best ones out there. But they thought for a little bit they had everything linked up with them. They were like, no, we're not doing that. Because sometimes bad press is worse than anything else with your game. Because if you're a developer, right, our publisher actually cares about your game, and your game is this awesome new racing title that has the best textures ever, the graphics look great, driving is good, but everybody's talking about your loot boxes, that's taking the attention away from what you'll be focusing on. If you keep getting a reply about how these loot boxes affect your game, instead of talking about what makes your game such great and makes the graphics so good, it's taken away from your marketing budget. You have to react to all the negative press. It's so funny, actually. Let's bring this up right now. Like with Forza, the new Forza. Instead of me first hearing about how great this new Forza was, I heard that everybody complaining about how the loot box situation was and how they were like screwing over some players, like with something that gave extra EXP. I don't remember the exact situation, but that's the stuff I heard, the negative stuff about the game first before I heard about like, oh wow, this new Forza game looks absolutely amazing. Microsoft is doing a really great job with it. It's like the best feeling Forza game in years. That's not what I was hearing. I was hearing the negative press, and it's actually kind of a shame because I did eventually get to see the Forza. I was like, God damn, this looks good. But the headlines weren't, this Forza game looks stunning. It's one of the best looking games out there. It's going to look even better than Xbox One X. It's like, no, Forza has loot box problems, has these progression problems, and screwing over longtime fans who paid extra. And sooner or later, all that negative press is just going to be dragged down the developers. It's going to drag down the publishers. Like, how much are they going to have to constantly fight this stuff to just want to be like, okay, our game is great and we want the marketing to be about how great our game is, and not how we want to suck much extra money out of the developer. Because it's so funny too. I was actually afraid for Shadow of War because I bought that game, right? Played through it and whatever, and I loved it. Everything before the game was that more people were so focused on the loot boxes. I was like, oh man, I really don't want this loot box thing to like suck this game dry. They were talking about the fourth act, but then I really did eventually get Shadows of War, and I realized me playing through the game, the developers, I really feel like the developers did it on purpose. I think they did it outside of Warner Brothers. They made sure that you could play through the whole game without having to spend any money. Like, I think the developers were like, all right, you want us to put this system in there? We'll make it easy enough that players could play through without ever having to spend $1. And screw your microtransaction system with random loot boxes with orcs or whatever it is. Because I never had to buy any of those. I never felt like, and I 100% did the game. So I'm glad the developers did that. But that's not what a developer should have to do. They should just have to be focusing on making a great, fun game and take that monetization stuff outside of the system. But then the game is still a product, and they still got to make the money to pay their bills to take care of their family. But then again, like I said, I'm not going to be mad at a developer if they want to make a store, called the Orc Store, and they have an epic, legendary orc with different names, different traits, and people want to go in there and buy those. I'm actually not going to be mad at you and buy those if it's an offline single-player game. If you just give people the choice to go and buy the stuff directly without loot boxes, I'm actually less mad at you when it comes to things that do not affect gameplay in an online sense, for like an online multiplayer experience. Obviously, I wouldn't want somebody to go and just be able to buy a star card in Star Wars Battlefront and be able to be better than everybody else. But I wouldn't mind if somebody goes ahead and buys a new skin for Darth Vader that's from one of the other movies, whatever, just a new skin for Darth Vader, of Darth Vader without his mask, you know, and use that in Star Wars Battlefront 2. If they want to go onto the store and buy that directly to support the game and because they like the game and like that skin, fine. You bought it, it's now yours to use. Instead of having to spin the wheel of the lever and hope that, oh my god, I just might get that Darth Vader skin that I... No. And I think that's actually another difference for like these companies is like, there are going to be so many players who's going to be like me soon who just say they're not going to support it and just not buy it. And I'm just not going to do it. Like, you haven't got me to buy a loot box yet. And I feel like I'm the prime person that should be doing it. I've been gaming for plus years. Shit, look, I bought Skyrim again. Like, I haven't even opened it yet. I bought Skyrim on the Switch. This is now the third time I have owned Skyrim. The third time. I owned it last year, and I beat it last year in the special edition. And I got it on Steam years ago for really cheap on a Steam sale. And this is actually the first time I spent $60. Because the one I got last year, I didn't pay for that. Somebody else gave me that. The one I got on Steam was on some really cheap Steam sale, maybe like $20. And here we go. With all the content, I finally spent $60 on this game. So if I'm willing to buy this game multiple times, now I can play it on portable, I can play it on my break at lunch, and stuff like that, because that's why I want. That's exactly really what I wanted for it. This is gonna be such a great break game. It's gonna make my day go by so much faster, because I can finally do all the side quests and finish the DLCs that I never played. But point being, if I'm willing to buy games multiple times because I feel like there's enough content in the base game of this one game, right? That I feel like I could buy it multiple times and still experience stuff I never experienced before. That is value for me as a customer. You understand? That's why I'm willing to be like, okay, a new expansion might come out for like the next one. I'll be like, I'll spend $15 for the new expansion and support the game because I like it that much. Look, I bought content from Fallout 4 that I haven't even finished and played yet. Point being. But I bought exactly what I wanted, and I know what I bought. I'll eventually get to it. If Fallout or Skyrim eventually goes to where like expansion or new stuff or random loot boxes, and you just spin a wheel to hopefully get, you know, something like a new... Oh boy, you are not getting my money. That's just how it is. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Just wanted to sit here, chat for a little bit. Point is, we have a victory, but the fight is not done. Keep letting everybody know any game out there that has these predatory microtransactions like Star Wars Battlefront 2 with pay to win stuff, or games that you just feel wrong with how they actually implement their cosmetic loot boxes as well. Because like I said from the very beginning, like you guys go back, I didn't like how they implemented it in Overwatch. I really just didn't like it. I felt like the way matches finish and how they reward you to get them free into game, and I felt like it was actually a big part. I'm not even getting the Overwatch thing. I'm not even trying to say Overwatch is a bad game. Like, I think legitimately the gameplay is perfectly enjoyable, but it's definitely popularized this in its own way. And I know Blizzard wants to be like, oh, we're the good guys here, and people seem to forget. Like, remember Blizzard did the whole entire Diablo marketplace bullshit? So like, you're not as good as you think you are, Blizzard. You've made your mistakes too. Because I've seen Blizzard out there trying to throw shade at EA and all this other stuff with the StarCraft 2 ads and all that. So I'm like, you're not as innocent as you think. And then let's not forget about Steam and, you know, how they had their whole legit gambling thing with kids, you know, with their CSGO gambling thing from a few years ago. So it's coming to a head, guys. These governments are starting to look into it. And I'm not sure if it's going to get to the United States or to UK, but I hope it does. And I hope it gives pressure on those rating commissions like the ESRB to actually start thinking like, hey, we need to make sure these developers understand that if they keep on pushing too hard, that the government's going to step in and make this whole industry in trouble. Because just like what happened with Night Trap and Mortal Kombat and those Carmageddon back in the day, those type of games that really pushed really hard and like got the, I'm not, no, not all of them, but you know, got the ESRB, the whole entire rating system in place, making that happen. This could be the next big thing that happens starting in 2018. If enough governments start paying attention, you know, it could become another big crackdown on the video game industry. And in this time, it might actually be for a good thing. I think there needs to be a lot of limits in place, like how much money could be spent in a mobile title that's aimed at a little kid in one day. Like there was a story about Jack Black where his kid spent $3,000 buying diamonds in some games. I'm like, buying the $100 pack 30 times. Like, why shouldn't there be a limit to how much microtransaction you could spend in a day in a kid's game? Like, doesn't that seem like something, like, morally the developers should step in? But I almost feel like if the developers morally won't do it, maybe a government, maybe the ESRB, maybe some Apple, maybe somebody got to step in place. Like, if this game is targeted towards children, then yeah, there might just need to be some type of rules. Now, maybe once again, this is me being somebody who's around kids, you know, have taken. It's just like, I'm not giving them an iPad or tablet or whatever connected with a card on it, because I know they may not fully understand and grasp the consequence of how hard it is to make money, to pay bills, and you shouldn't have to try to get a damn refund. It should just not even go to that point. Game industry is in a tricky place, but I feel that we have done something good that I never thought was going to happen. I never thought that EA was going to ever disable microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And I will be clear, it is us that did it. I know some people are like, oh, it was really Disney who stepped in and did it. Yes, Disney wouldn't have done it unless we would have used our voices. That's what I'm saying. We made enough of a stink that Disney had to listen and Disney had to contact EA, and now we probably won't see the microtransactions back in until maybe the new Star Wars movie's out, and that doesn't affect the bad press. Because I think one of the best things that could possibly happen, I'm just hoping this happens, not me. This is me wanting to see EA burn for this. I hope EA, like 2 weeks or a week before the new Star Wars comes out, EA enables back paid microtransactions and the system is as crappy or even worse than it is currently. I hope that happens, and there's a big outrage coming from the gaming community that makes it up on mainstream news like CBS, NBC, Fox, CNN, and so on and so forth, on front of Yahoo, MSN, wherever. It shows up there right before the new Star Wars comes out, and Disney comes in and just pulls the Star Wars license from EA. That's what I want. EA to just be so stupid and just so moronic and so dumb to feel like they figured out the perfect balance and not realize that gamers just literally want the system removed from the game. It's a complete removal of the pay-to-win systems, or even just complete removal of the damn loot boxes in general, and just go to a system like I said. They could do cosmetics, but just let people buy the ones they want. I think they would legitimately still make a decent amount of money, man. Even I would be like, okay, I could get these different skins for these different Star Wars characters. Maybe I would, you know, I'm just saying, like, I don't have the game, but I'm like, that would be okay with me. I don't know, like, if you guys are okay with that, but I really feel like if you just let gamers know what they're buying, and they buy exactly what they want, there would be a lot more okay with that. Like, it's even with the situation with Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, right? They have a season pass coming out with some DLC, and I was like, I love that game. That's like a 5 out of 5 game for me, right? But I wasn't willing to buy it because I didn't really know what's going to be coming. Like, they didn't really do a good detail. I don't want to buy stuff without knowing what the hell I'm buying. Why am I giving you money? Might as well go buy a lotto ticket and take the chance of me winning by 1% or something. Like, whatever, probably 0.001%. I'm just ranting, talking today, guys. I'm happy that we succeeded somewhat, but the fight continues. And I'm going to keep on calling out any game I see that has some really predatory system aimed at children, or just really trying to rip off gamers, especially the ones who might be because they're addicted to just putting money into it because of the gambling, just that little flair they get from, like, oh yeah, I potentially could get that epic orc, that legendary orc. Like, huh? What? I'm so glad that I'm just not successful. Like, I'm just glad I don't have to succumb to that. But I know there are people out there who gets really, it really goes to them, man. It really goes to them. So if you're one of those people who feel like these systems has preyed on you in the past, you need to be very vocal and share your stories. Share your story. It matters. Let me know in the comment section below. What's the last game that you were tempted to buy a loot box in but had to resist? Let me know, guys. What's the last game where you were so tempted? I'll give you a situation, actually. A game that tempted me so hard with microtransactions was Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and I stopped playing it. There came to a point where I felt like something in the game was, it's not a hard game, but there was just something in the game was like, oh, I could just go into the store and just buy this thing and just be done. Just skip. It was like, I'm gonna spend money to skip a part of the gameplay. That seems weird. It seems weird. I was so tempted. I was like, oh no, this feels bad. I shouldn't play this anymore, and I stopped. That was the moment. It was Assassin's Creed Syndicate. That's a game that really came close to really getting me. It really was. But that's a story for another day. I actually made a YouTube video about it already. You can find it on the channel. Probably just search up Assassin's Creed Syndicate and you guys will find it there. Till next time, peace out. Let me know your opinions in the comment section below. Peace out, guys.